Grace of heaven, virtues of masters, grand predecessors, and all transmitters for giving me an opportunity to learn to speak in this class today on 18th Matriarch. I couldn't find a lot of information on her, but I did find a few facts or whatever. So, 18th Matriarch, who's known as Su Zhen, also known as Moon or Hui Ming, she's the incarnation of Hui Bodhisattva and became Zhonghua Holy Mother after her passing. She was born on the 28th day of the 8th month of the Chinese lunar calendar in 1895 in San County, China. And from the start, she was very disciplined. She was very mindful and proper. And she saw that the world was illusory and had a lot of material possessions or whatever that would drag down the humans from achieving enlightenment. And so she set out to be enlightened by the true principles, which we are currently learning right now. And Matriarch Moon was a celibate cultivator, which means she never married or had kids. And in 1930, God mandated Patriarch Chang to be the 18th Patriarch and Matriarch Sun to be the 18th Matriarch. So they concurrently received the Tao, the divine authority to propagate Tao and to continue the lineage of Tao. And so in name, they became husband and wife, even though they never married or had kids. And this union signifies the equality between men and women in receiving Tao, cultivating Tao, and to propagate Tao. And this union allowed everyone, both men and women, to equally have the chance to receive the Tao. And in 1947, 18th Patriarch passed away. So the 18th Matriarch continued the mission of saving the living beings of the three realms, or the mortal realms. In 1949, Matriarch Moon went to Hong Kong because of the communist takeover of mainland China. But then because the situation in Hong Kong also became really dire, she moved to Taiwan and then shut herself in a room in 1954 and lived in seclusion because she wanted to distance herself away from the obstacles in Taiwan. And so around that time, many of the Tao principles encountered difficulties in the propagation of Tao because everyone thought that Tao was a joke and they didn't really believe in it. So they shunned any of the Tao propagators. So she shut herself in a room because of that. So then Matriarch Moon vowed to help these disciples by basically confining herself in a room in hope of propagating Tao with less difficulties and obstacles. And her virtue and sincerity helped those disciples as the great Tao was spread all over Taiwan and eventually all over the world. And sadly, Matriarch Moon passed away at the age of 81 on the 23rd day of the second month of the Chinese lunar calendar in 1975. And the day she passed away, there was a huge storm and there was a lot of wind and a lot of rain. And in heaven, God bestowed upon her the title Zhonghua Holy Mother after her passing, and her great virtue and compassion are remembered by Tao principles all over the world. And finally, with the sun and moon, 18th Patriarch and 18th Matriarch, hidden in heaven, the stars will never stop illuminating the world, and this symbolizes their great compassion and patience in propagating Tao and leading others to heaven. The end. Yeah.
So, are there any questions or comments?
So what about Holy Mother, or Zhonghua Shengwu, touches you or inspires you most?
Oh, that's a hard question. Besides this whole story that's really touching, I think that basically shutting herself in a room because there's no way I can do that, and I think she did that for many years, and then she tried to cleanse herself, and I feel that takes a lot of dedication and strength, not physical strength but mental strength, because if you shut yourself in a room for a few weeks or whatever, you can go crazy. Well, she didn't, and she somehow kept herself sane and still like propagated Tao in her own way. And I admire her spirit and her determination for spreading Tao, even though like the whole world seems to be against her. So I think that was really touching.
So, what was the trend before the union between the 18th patriarch and matriarch in terms of the propagation of Tao?
I'm not really sure, but to me, I think that like only men can receive the Tao. But then even then, like I don't think a lot of people believed in Tao, so a very few people went to receive it. But then with the union between 18th matriarch and 18th patriarch, that really opened up the Tao atmosphere and allowed everyone to actually think about what it was like to receive the Tao, and then give women the experience of actually like, receiving it and spreading it all over the world. So that union basically signifies like the opening of Tao into like the whole world. Like I think that's what started Tao for equal opportunities. Is that it?
Yeah, well, the matriarch certainly, that's why there's more women in the temples are receiving the Tao today is because of the matriarch. Okay, so because before the matriarch it was all male dominated, mostly male, probably 90% or more. So this whole thing changed after the matriarch. I mean, so it's the Yerhui Bodhisattva. I mean, her vow to, I don't know what all her vows are, but she's undertaking the mission with our Jigong Buddha, holy teacher, as well, to propagate the Tao all over the world, right? I mean, what we call universal salvation. So, because we're kind of in the time where it's time for anyone who has the affinity to be able to receive the Tao, to cultivate and to return back to heaven. So that's at least all the woman should be grateful for the matriarch for having taken on, plus her sacrifice to be able to propagate the Tao, right? So self-sacrifice, that's very good. I mean, everyone's got to be grateful for that.
I have one question. Since the 18 matriarch locked herself in the room, and she bows 10,000 kosher every day. So how can she know everything about the propagation of Tao? And how can she, as a Tao leader, how can she do it?
I'm not really sure, but I think she, while she bowed, she like prayed to the heavens for guidance, and then she used her own wisdom from previous experiences to help lead her to her thinking and help her basically spread Tao throughout the world. Is that correct? I don't know.
I mean, she didn't have direct contact with the outside, but I mean, she had some people who who helped. Kind of. There are a few people close to her that had contact with the outside, and then so kind of in between. But yeah, I guess he was probably one. I mean, very few people knew where she was staying. Actually, only a few people. Yeah.
That I think the most important is that her true nature be her own master. So she knows everything. Because
certainly.
that's a He. That's her Buddha nature. Tell her everything.
Yeah, certainly she's.
So she can be the Tao leader.
Right.
So she doesn't need to step out, Yeah. So that's why 秀才不出门，是天下事。
You know what that means? Said a scholar or a well-learned person will know everything about the world, even though the person does not take a step outside of the house. And she also mentioned because our 18th nature, she is one with heaven, that she's one with the Tao. She also, Rochelle also mentioned wisdom.
Any more questions?
Do we have any more questions or comments?
I've heard from some of our Qian transmitters and also lecturers in our temple. One of the very good qualities of our 18 matrix is the willingness to stay in the background while still helping with the Tao community, help with the Tao propagation. And she's also very well known for her gentleness, very soft-spoken. She came to visit one of the Dharma class, and I was told that the way she talked is just like that of Nanhai Gupo, very soft and very gentle, and very humble too.
Yeah, so, yeah, we all need to learn from that. And well, actually, she's kind of a role model for the women, actually, cultivators. I mean, really very gentle, very humble, and all that. I think, yeah, she's had some visitations a few times. Like the one that you can go actually on YouTube, you can see is the one in the Dharma class in Indonesia. But let's see, yeah, that's the other thing about so she represents the moon, right? So the moon being subtle in the background, right? You don't see it during the day. So that's why during most Dharma classes, I mean, it's our holy teacher Jigong Buddha who's always, kind of at the front and always, but Sumu, well, she's always there, but we don't see her. I mean, she doesn't visit a lot, but she's also our holy teacher. But so the sun and moon, right? They represent the sun and moon. So the sun and moon are now, they're no longer here physically. So it's now the stars, right? So the stars, meant to the stars, our grand predecessor represents the star, okay? So, or the star, So he was then the one who kind of take over the mandate after. But now he's also returned to heaven. So really, well, and it's kind of, I guess it's still passed down, but so we don't know how long actually. So that's why this lineage of Tao is kind of, we're definitely near the end, the end of this lineage, so to speak, of this mandate. So therefore, that's why it's important to that we propagate the Tao. We don't, there's a limited amount of time left, right? So for the propagation of Tao, I mean, it still might be, more than our lifetime, but we don't know.
So, is there any evidence to say the 10,000 Tao per day was consecutively done, or?
I have no evidence.
Well,
it's most likely that she's continuous for 10,000. Yeah, I don't think they would take a break or anything. I've tried doing 10,000.
It's hard.
I couldn't do 10,000. I mean, I can only do a few thousand, and I have to take a break.
As 1,000, it's tough, because that's why I asked.
Yeah, I think the Matriarch, the 10,000 was very slow.
Yeah, very slowly
Very
too.
slow.
Okay.
But we thought
We do it fast. Still, we can't do it.
Yeah, I feel that one of Matriarch Moon's very great qualities is that she's not very, she won't give up, because even though, she first moved to Hong Kong because she thought it would be, a better atmosphere there, but it clearly wasn't. So she moved to Taiwan, and it wasn't even great there either. So eventually she locked herself in her room. So I think that, she's a person who's very flexible. She won't let obstacles deter her from her path. And, even if all else, fails, she will still find a way, such as, locking herself in her room to propagate the Tao and to, control herself. And I feel like she has a very great mindset and willpower to force herself to do all these extreme things and make herself better and the world better in that way. That's it.
I think the original power is the love. Love
The
all the
compassion
sentient
for all.
beings. Yeah, that's why she has that.
So is there any reason why she had to go into seclusion? Is it because the gender that's stood in the way, and so she has to be in a more subtle role, or?
No, I mean, because before she went, when she was still in China, and then she, had grand predecessors go to Taiwan, right, to propagate the Tao. But I mean, she did say it's going to be very difficult for at least 10 years before things will get better. But then anyway, by the time she got to Taiwan, it was also still martial law in Taiwan. So the government is oppressing the Tao cultivators and things because they just think they're they're like communists. That's why. So they're afraid of the communists. So it's a government thing. But yeah, so so she can only plead with heaven to try to make it better for all the followers and cultivators. And so she self-sacrificed by staying home and doing the 10,000 vows every day. So that she can't. I mean, I'm sure she would love to meet with her followers and be with their followers and out there, propagating the Tao. But so this is a big sacrifice for a patriarch, right, or matriarch. So yeah, and so she's basically taking on their karmic burden of all the followers, so everyone, so that then they can be, have a smoother path of cultivation and propagating Tao. Yeah.
So this is a proactive approach, not a passive.
Yeah, right.
So the 18 page matriarch, they were propagating about the same.
Yeah, they were together in China. They were propagating together. Yeah, because they received the mandate at the same time. But the patriarch, he left in 1947, I think. Yeah, I mean, right.
Was it yesterday that was her anniversary or Thursday?
Oh,
Thursday
is
was the Chen Da.
That's yeah.
Attainment.
Attainment of the Tao.
Any more questions?
They gave you a lot of questions today.
So everyone know which statue on the altar represent the 18 matriarch?
In the main temple, the left statue is the Bodhisattva of Moon and Wisdom. The 18th matriarch is on the top level of the small temple on the left side. She is the incarnation of our Buddha on the left side in the big temple. Got it? Yeah. Of the Bodhisattva of Moon and Wisdom. And Transmitted Jin had always mentioned in the past that she was very frugal. Okay? When we turn on the faucet, we turn faucet to the full blast. Am I right? Every one of us? We just let the water run. She turns the faucet to one line of water dripping. Okay? And I try it that way. You can still wash your hands thoroughly. Okay? So we don't need to turn the faucet all the way. Save some resources for the future generations.
Yeah, there was a story, I don't know, maybe it was I think it was in, I don't know if it was in Taiwan, but anyways, right, or maybe it was in China, but they were outside and saw a vendor, selling watermelon, right, but it was a hot day and, she was thinking maybe get some watermelon, and then her helper, I guess, whoever, asked, how much, and, I don't know, it's probably a few cents. And she said, "Oh no, that's all right." She's unwilling to spend, the money to the temple's money essentially to buy, even just spend a few cents to buy watermelon to eat on a hot summer day. So that's just one.
That was her favorite fruit.
Yeah.
Is watermelon. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. The other thing is that she has bound feet, right? Little feet, right? That's the other thing because when she grew up, I guess she was kind of in a household that's a little bit. I mean, it's not. Maybe it's upper middle class or whatever. Upper. Yeah.
In the old days, it's very common to bind.
They bind the girls' feet when
because
they're
it
young.
looks more dainty.
Yeah, and
because
supposedly that
with big feet.
kind of looks.
Class.
Yeah, it's kind of more upper class.
Yeah. So they bind the feet,
right?
So it doesn't grow.
But that's very painful for the person. I mean, especially when they're adults, bigger, and then you have small feet, and to walk, it's very difficult. So back then, propagating Tao was difficult for them. I mean, there's no public the transportation is not so easy. It's mostly walking. So you imagine how to walk like that. So what she had to go through.
I can see the faces and someone has a question but is afraid to ask.
Not a question, but just a comment. It's just it sounds like you really did your homework. Very informative. So
Oh, thank you.
She did a good job.
Thank you.
And she answered every question.
I did my best.
So we are still open to questions because we are actually waiting for Lecturer Kai. So you can be free to ask questions. If it's not related to the 18 major, it's still welcome. Come on, guys.
Well, okay, yeah, I mean, remember so our 18th patriarch and 18th matriarch, all right, so they both received heaven's mandate at the same time. Heaven's mandate means they, become patriarchs, okay, they receive the mandate to become patriarchs. But not everyone believed that because at the time, there was never ever a matriarch, okay, a female patriarch, okay, one who had mandate. So that's why some people, they didn't believe that was the case. So after the patriarch passed away, and the matriarch supposedly, still had the mandate, but the family of the patriarch did not believe that, so they didn't follow her. Okay, so they just followed their own. They figure it should be passed down to the son, okay, the son of the patriarch. So because the patriarch, he had his own family, right? Okay, so the patriarch and matriarch, that was only in name only. That kind of like they're a couple, but so there's a separate lineage, you can say, of the Tao under the patriarch's family, his son. Okay, so that's Sishonzu. I don't know if they have a mandate or whatever. I mean, that's it's not for me to say, but we know that the matriarch has the mandate, and so everything, all the other Tao lineages are under the matriarch's, that lineage. But yeah, I mean, today the Tao, there's only one Tao, but again, just like how religions, they start off, right? They start off, so you have Jesus, you have Buddha, right? There's only one, right? But then afterwards, it becomes split, and you have all sorts of different groups, following different teachings or whatever. And so, yeah, you can see that in the Tao, kind of, especially it's like you have like this Sishonzu, okay, this other lineage. But our Buddhas, they say that in the future, right, during these times, there will be other, you can say false, like in the Bible, it'll say false prophets, okay? So, but, the Buddhas, false teachers, false holy teachers, false patriarchs, false, Maitreya's, okay? So, because we're in this time where, unfortunately, that's going to happen. And so that's why we have to, develop our wisdom to know what is the right, follow the truth, right? And not follow the false teachings or the false groups, right? Now so that's why, the Buddhas always tell us not to look for, I'm seeking, some kind of teaching that'll give me some power or some ability or being able to do certain things, right? Those are probably false teachings, okay? That will lead you the wrong way. They're not the true Tao, okay? So that's why you'll notice, and the Buddhists, they always, when they channel, they always they don't talk about these things, right? They just talk about the principles. Those are the truth, right? We follow the truth and practice the truth. That's it. If we, are too curious, trying to seek these other things, then unfortunately, that's it's like seeking a false another teacher, a false teacher. And if we do that, then we lose. You can say we lose, even though we may have received the Tao, for example, and we go out and let's say we go to church and get baptized again, or we go to follow some other religious practice, and then you can say that it almost, cancels the fact that we received the Tao. Okay, so that's very dangerous. Then we have no way to return, right? So that's that's something that we need to be careful of. All right. So there's a lot of material. There's a lot of stuff out there, especially on the internet. on YouTube, anywhere. You can see a lot of stuff, but we have to be careful. We have to understand. That's why it's important to come to class that we understand what's the true Tao and what isn't. And so when we see these other things, we know that we can avoid those, or we know that those are not the true Tao. Yeah.
See, what Lecture Tai is saying is that we're not telling you that you cannot visit. Because sometimes you may have a friend who invites you to a church. We're not saying that you cannot go, but if you go, you cannot go and let them convince you to be baptized in the church. Because if you do, you receiving the blessing here at the temple will be actually eradicated. So then actually afterwards you will, as they say, you are just normal again.
The door will be
the
closed.
door will be closed. So if you happen to go because maybe you are trying to get your friends to come to the temple, so you trying to go to their church first and then to ask them to come to the temple, do not let them convince you to get baptized in their church. Otherwise you have to receive the Tao again, because the door will be closed.
Does that happen now? Do people receive the Tao?
Yes.
Yeah, it's happening.
Can you tell us the truth, the story about the baptized and then close the door?
Well,
The evidence?
I think in Taiwan, right, it's actually a transmitting master who got baptized. He didn't really want to get baptized, but for the purpose of using that church, he wanted to use the church to have held a Dharma class, right? But the terms of letting him do that is that he had to be baptized. And he said, "Oh, well, it's no big deal. I'll just do it." But then so they had the Dharma class, and the holy teacher came and said, "Well, how come?" Yeah. Oh, okay. So after he got baptized, then he also, there were people receiving the Tao, and so he was the one who transmitted the Tao to them. But then so during the Dharma class, holy teacher visited and said, "How come all these people didn't receive the Tao?" And so basically, what happened was he lost his mandate to transmit the Tao when he became baptized, right? So basically, that's very serious. That's very serious. So for us, it would mean that essentially we didn't receive the Tao, and we have to do it again. So that's pretty serious. Again, it's like our holy teacher, that's we can only. You can say have one master, just like we should have our own true master, right? Our Buddha nature, but we should only have one master, a holy teacher. We can't go seek other teachers, right? So, you can't. There's no way to follow more than one teacher, right? So you follow one teacher, and that's our holy teacher. So.
Yeah, actually, after the initiation ceremony, there's a light, in that portal, right? And so when holy teacher came to the Dharma class, he said, "How come everybody stopped there? Because it's closed."
Heavenly portal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the more we cultivate, the brighter that spot will be.
Can I ask something? Since you're talking about Tao and other religion, does it mean that other religions, even though they cultivate, they will have different place in heaven?
Yeah, they probably have their own heavens, but the thing is, those are probably, unless you have the three treasures or you see the Tao, have that heavenly portal open, you're not going to go to the, I guess you could say, the absolute we go to Maitreya's heaven, okay, Maitreya, because Maitreya is the I guess he's the, I don't know, well, he's the one who I guess savior, I don't know. But maybe the other Buddhas or whoever, they each have their own little place in heaven. Their heavens. But so, you can say that they're in like a temporary heaven if they don't receive the Tao. So, but that's temporary, or it's a lot less shorter time than we have at least 10,800 years during the white period that we can go. They probably, I don't know what the other ones are all temporary. So and yeah, so it's always, the practice, obviously cultivating in practice is better than nothing. Okay, but it's still better to have received the Tao.
understood it, right?
That means the difference is when you receive down, you have mandate from heaven, cultivate, probably you won't be reincarnate again once you exhaust whatever merits you have. Compared to other religions, when you accumulate and cultivate, probably once you exhaust whatever merit it is, come back on it. Is that
Yeah, I mean, for those, I think those other practices, but mostly it's what they're accumulating is, yeah, you can say merit, but it's actually for future good fortune, okay, good or karmic blessing. But that's in this world. That's in the world. Okay, that karmic blessing comes back to you in this world. So that means you have to reincarnate to get those karmic blessings, right? So it's not getting a reward in heaven, right? Spending time in heaven. So maybe they're there very brief time in a temporary heaven, but then they have to come back, very quickly. For us, we go to the Matriarch's heaven, which is it's more permanent. I mean,